Looking different.
Hey,
How's it going?
good. How you doing?
Not too bad. We were talking in the green room before this. Before I forget, have you pre-ordered your Apple Vision Pro?
So you can pre-order now?
You can as of the second in the United States, which I thought was careful wording. It makes me wonder, as a Canadian,
Hmm,
should I be driving to the States and pre-ordering? Which I can do.
right. So as of a week ago, you could order it?
As of the 2nd of February, so
Oh,
almost a
2nd
month
of
away.
February. Okay.
3 weeks. Yeah. And this is a pre-order.
I,
And it
yeah,
may not ship until later this year.
yeah. And
Maybe.
pre-order, does that mean you have to pay up all 3 grand or whatever?
Generally, Apple has like charged you like
Like,
when it ships.
okay.
So yeah, like I know what you're saying. Like it's a zero
So
risk
it says
kind of like.
0% interest loan to Apple.
Well, it's a ticket granting ticket that has zero
Yeah.
cost. I think is what it is, and I think that's okay. Like, do people have to
Okay.
pay for the? I always forget her name. Eras Tour, Taylor Swift pre-order
Mm,
tickets, like tickets that would allow you to get tickets. Did they pay for those? I don't think
mm.
so, right?
I don't know.
I don't think they paid for the privilege to get access to
It's like
see, but
for like pre-orders of cars, you like put down like $1,000 or $100,
yeah, to
like
show
for
it
the
here as like a.
Rivian when the Rivian was first announced and people waited 3 years for the car to show up.
Yeah, and I think the Tesla as well. It
Yeah,
kind of feels a bit like oh, what's that company where you like kickstart? I'm hard
Kickstarter.
times with
Yeah,
words. Say,
yeah,
where you help kickstart things? Yeah, that company called
yeah.
Kickstart. It feels like you're helping them say like, hey, is this idea viable? Do I need to give you
Right,
money in order to like help?
right.
I don't know, kickstart this whole
Yeah,
thing, like get it off the ground, bootstrap it, that kind of
right.
thing.
Have you
Apple's
done
not doing
Kickstarter?
that. I have once for this small
Only
company
once?
at the. It was this company called Peak something, Peak Design. Have you ever heard of them? I'm
Yeah.
being facetious, but I really like hand straps. And when they first came out with their
Ah,
first hand strap,
there.
I
Yeah,
kickstarted that because I'm a hand strap fan,
yeah.
absolutely, and
I
do
did
actually like
the
Peak Design.
yeah the Peak Design. I did their in the Kickstarter. I did their
Yep.
everyday backpack.
Oh yeah, that's a
The
nice looking
30
backpack.
the 30 liter. So it was, when there was
Yeah,
nothing. I mean, I
yeah.
didn't see anyone else with one for like the first 4 months, 5 months I had it.
No. Yeah.
Um, and the quick release clip that would clip to your backpack.
Oh yeah, the little
They're
one
like,
here. I've got one of those too.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're on like their third version now, or third or fourth version now. But I have that first
Yeah.
version.
Yeah,
And it's great.
it's a really good idea. The only issue is the backpack I use has really thick straps, both front
Yeah,
and top, and it just doesn't like clamp over it. But I think
yeah,
I've got the first release. You made me realize that like I think when I
yeah.
got the hand strap, they offered me some other stuff at a discount. And you know,
Right.
it's like oh well, I'm here. I might as well get five
Yeah.
bucks off this and that and the other
I
thing.
I think the best of the placements for that is they've got the little like sandwich of cloth, and then you put that on that attaches to your belt, and
Oh,
so that way it's just a little bit below the belt,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like right at your kind of right there, well, just near something else, but
Oh,
it's
your
just like
haunches? Are you
it's
trying to say the word
yeah,
haunches?
I'm trying to say what
We
the
got you.
PG, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
haunches. I think that's totally fine.
Launches? Okay. But, it's a nice it's secure, it's not bouncing around,
Right.
it's a nice place for that. I don't know if I did anything else from Kickstarter from, Peak. I've done,
Do you
a
have that
couple things
little
from
Arca Swiss, like, clamp that they've got? It's like no one talks about it, but that little it's almost like bidirectional Arca Swiss,
right.
what do you call it, like, plate mount? I love that. It's such a great idea. It's so
Well, I mean,
tiny. It's
there's
amazing.
nothing special that I mean, Arca Swiss has been around for ages, and
But weren't they, like,
Arca Swiss
longer? Yeah, square Arca Swiss, because I
the
thought the Arca
square
Swiss
Arca
ones were, like,
Swiss,
long.
that's been a standard for a long time. There's a few that do it
Oh,
long,
okay.
but, and I feel like it's been unusual to see ones that are long b back when Peak Design first did it, but I had,
Oh, gotcha.
some a cage from Really Right Stuff, as well as, a
Right.
number of tripod, like, ball heads from Really Right Stuff. Do you know them?
I do, and I'm actually thinking you might be right. Were they kind of the first people to come up with it? Because they made a lot of,
No.
like, not
Arca
cages, but
Swiss
L brackets and
yeah,
stuff?
yeah. Yeah, I got into them. I did. There's a photographer named no, what's his name? Trey Ratcliffe.
Radcliffe, yeah, I know him.
And
Yeah,
he's done
or
a
of
bunch
him,
of
sorry.
he's done a bunch of like live courses over the number of years. The second one he did in London, and I was one of 6 people on that.
Nice.
And he was really into really right stuff at the time. And their tripods are like beefy, expensive,
Yes.
but
Yes.
the hardware is just gorgeous. I've got so many of the basically the thing that sits on top of maybe the on top of the ball head that just makes it really easy to precisely go 10 degrees or
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
and all their pieces are Arca Swiss on both ends.
That's right, yeah. And
So
they're,
it's
like,
super
really
easy to
well
connect.
machined.
So,
Yeah.
oh my god, beautifully
I'm trying
well
to
done.
think. I left a Sony A6000 Alpha 6000 at a bar once, and
Hmm.
listen, these aren't expensive cameras, and the lens on it was kind of throwaway. But what I really, really was sad about was the L bracket that I
Yeah,
got from Really Right Stuff
yeah,
because it was
yeah.
amazing. It just
It's
held the
amazing.
whole
Yeah,
camera together and made it feel
yeah,
so much better. Give it some weight.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, if this is a zero cost pre-order,
yeah,
I wonder, like, listen, I'm not going to be writing apps for this right away, but I do wonder why you would not pre-order. It
yeah,
looks like it is expensive, but if you're thinking about this as a TV replacement, maybe
yeah.
that works. I will tell you, I booted up the PlayStation
As long
VR
as you don't
2.
have a spouse,
Well,
then you
so
could buy two.
well. Let me explain to you my birthday scenario. So for my birthday, I thought I'd treat myself and use the PSVR 2 to play my favorite game again.
Uh huh.
What I realized is that yeah, we're both generally in like the same room doing something different
Hmm.
anyway. I mean, in this case, that my partner was in the living room, I was in the bedroom, but yeah, I was just that when you put it on, the screen goes black. So
Yeah.
I believe they could have been watching whatever, like she could have been watching whatever show she wanted
Right.
on the same TV I was playing on, just by changing
Right.
like the source input. So that would have been fine.
Mm.
But she had her headsets on, like in a different room anyway. It totally would have
Mhm.
been fine, basically.
Yeah.
But the PS2 the PS5 VR2 does not allow you to watch 3D movies still, which is surprising
Mm.
to me because I've had it for months, and I
Wow.
assumed that it would come eventually, but if you rent a 3D Blu-ray movie or buy a 3D Blu-ray movie or try to
Mhm.
watch 3D content on YouTube, etcetera, etcetera,
Mhm.
etcetera, none of this works, which is, like,
Hmm.
mind-boggling to me because it's
Yeah.
one of the key features that I'm interested in. I understand that it's a gaming
Right.
device, but I really actually do like 3D
Yeah.
content. Even if it's just a
Yeah.
photo that I can kind of be immersed in and look
Right.
around, I actually really like it. But yeah, it's super disappointing to me. So I ended up playing Cyberpunk on a small screen inside of
Mm.
VR, which was
Mm.
I'm not gonna say it was immersive. I will say that like the grease on my forehead got on the glasses, which made
Uh,
so I had to look around the screen quite a bit
uh,
more, which is pretty
yeah.
immersive because it felt like wearing a dirty
Yeah.
headset. It's not the experience that I really want it to be, and I feel like
Right.
Samsung Gear VR back in 2016 is still better, and in
Yeah.
fact, PS4 VR is better than PS5 VR too.
Yeah.
So I do think there's space for Apple to innovate here. There's that Half-Life Alex game. Have you heard of this? Which is like a
Mm-mm.
killer app for like the Steam VR or the HTC Vive
Mm.
or the
No.
Meta Quest. It's Half-Life, which I've never played
Mhm.
in 3D. I've played a lot of Portal, so I guess I'm waiting
Right.
for the Portal VR game. But
Right.
it's in VR. It's a newer story, which I think fans of the series are quite
Right.
interested in, as well as it's about a scientist and it's kind of
Okay.
cyberpunk-esque, post-apocalyptic.
Right.
But I guess all this to say, I'm hoping that this lands in VR on
Right.
this headset because I think that will be the killer app. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, it's going to be Beat Saber, the same app that's run everywhere, or they're going to try
Mhm.
to do the iPad OS or iPhone OS kind of
Right.
version of stuff where you're using your computer in a different way. Again, pretty
Yep.
cool,
Yep.
but I'd like to be able to play it like a AAA game. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, Life of P is cool, but when we were talking about Death Stranding, for example, you could see a lot more people
Right.
were interested. Anyway, all this to say,
Yeah.
gaming's cool. I hope I
Yeah.
can watch 3D movies and view photos really large because that would be amazing.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't. I'm not. I'm not. I. I doubt I will pre-order,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
I would not be surprised if, when the time comes, I do buy it.
Fair enough.
I'll be fine with waiting a little bit of time.
When it's not vaporware and actually a product. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Proven.
when it's the second version anyway, maybe it's even better.
Honestly, that's kind of what I was thinking, but I would like to try. Is it XR? Is that where we landed? Like, I'd like to try to make an XR app. I don't know what that's going to look like, but I would like to try
Right.
something. What does
Yeah.
observability look like in VR? I have so many
Oh yeah.
questions.
Yeah. So I heard somebody with an idea that um they just wanted to have like a immersive tour of the area that we live in, the
Right?
and so you're walking around and
Yeah.
seeing and touch or not touching, but seeing some of the things that are on the walks that are around here.
Mhm.
So I think like it described it a little bit further. It sounded a really neat idea. I'm not sure if he's making that happen yet, but
There's a new way of like scanning point clouds in order to make 3D environments. I'm not sure if you've heard of this,
mm,
but you can do it
no,
within minutes for like a static location. I think walking would be a
right,
lot, especially with
right.
trees and things that are
Well,
moving and
you've
things
been
like
able to
that.
do that with your phone for,
Yeah,
for the last few versions with the LiDAR thing.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and there were actually apps to do that even before LiDAR
This is
that would
Microsoft
just
Connect,
work
right?
on. Well, there was one that was
I thought.
it would create 3D models. I mean, they were really rough and you'd have to clean them up a lot.
Right,
But I
right.
think with the LiDAR, it's even better. I mean, I don't think I've played with it since when the first demos. But is it like photogrammetry? Is that what that is? Or
I believe that's actually the term.
yeah,
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 photogrammetry. I was trying to think of it. Yeah, so it's
yeah.
when you take multiple photos, and then it's
Mhm.
kind of like when you're doing a panorama, but it's in 3D on all axes, kind of
Yeah,
thing. Just
yeah,
really interesting. And yeah, the lidar helps with the bounding boxes, is my
right.
understanding.
And that's what is it like the guys that do they do a weekly stream mostly about Final
Mhm.
Cut, like Pixel Core,
Oh, I haven't heard of
Final
those.
Cut Friday. No, is it Final Cut Fridays or is it uh there's oh god, what's it? I want to say it's Pixel Core and it's they do photogrammetry. That's their main thing. Was listening to one of the podcasts I listen to, which is great. It's
Mhm.
always great. Definitely a niche that you have to be into, but a photographer. And
Mhm.
of course, now I can't remember any
We're,
details
we're
about
both
this.
madly googling this stuff because our brains are
I'm
mush.
looking at my podcast client, which is SnipD, the Stallman
Oh, is it
podcast?
Tyler
Tyler
Stallman?
Tyler Yeah. Have you
Yeah,
listened to
as a
his?
Canadian, of course, I have to watch Tyler Stallman.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple. I think what I find interesting about him, I think I knew about Anya before, his partner, who he sort of
Mhm.
like took photos of for years and then ended up marrying, and then ended up following Tyler, funnily enough. But yeah,
Mm,
they're in Calgary, I believe, or at
mm.
least Alberta, right next door.
And Alex Lindsay was the guy that he was talking
Ah,
to, and Alex Lindsay does a lot of that photogrammetry, and that's what their company does.
very
Oh,
cool.
looks like there's a comment about, "Is Ollama open source?" Yes, it is.
Oh, look at
When I use
that.
the
Okay.
API for one of my NPC characters for my 2D game. Yeah, in fact, there's a demo of like a of AI Town, I think it was called.
I'm pulling
That
it up now. Yeah.
that somebody did with GPT-4, and then some other folks. I think the ones from that created LangChain. I think they created a version of AI Town for Ollama, and there's
Oh,
been a few other
cool.
people that have done that. And so basically having all these non-playing characters, but they're the only ones in the game that they're and so you just watch them talking to each other and holding the game on their own, and you're kind of watching.
So I found one from Convex, convex.dev/AI
Hmm.
hyphen town. Does that sound? Is it like a pixel based
It
kind of
looks like
game?
a pixel. All the ones I've seen have been like pixel, like looking down on the screen
Oh,
on the world.
for Code World, in fact, if you're on GitHub, so under the A16Z hyphen infra repo,
Hmm.
this repo does exist actually, AI Town. So
Okay.
you can fork it and make your own
Yeah.
actually. Very cool, and
So
it's in 2D.
the question, yes, Aolama is open source.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think all of the models are as well, right? When I was looking at them,
Well,
they
there
have
is
different
a
licensings, but the models are open source, but they have different usage licenses. Is that? Sorry to open a can of worms here.
yeah. Well, so there's uh most of them are open source. Llama 2 Meta released it as open
Mhm.
source, and then they get into like certain people. I mean, there's no hard and fast definition of what open source really means for
Right,
everyone, but there are
right.
some people, some organizations that have been created since open source was first created that have said, "Oh, this is what open source means," and therefore what Meta has done is not what open source is not according to our definition of open
Yeah, I
source.
can. I'm reading
So
the license now, and I
therefore,
can. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's
and so
called
I mean,
community
it's
license, and I'm
basically
reading through it, and it's pretty good, but still.
it's everybody has it's the same rights for open source unless you happen to have a company
Exactly.
that might have 600 million users or something like that. Um, for the
Exactly.
rest of, I mean, so Google is not allowed to use it as open source, but everyone else is.
That makes
Google and
sense.
I guess OpenAI, you can't use it as open source, but everyone else, no problem.
Yeah, very interesting.
Um,
Yeah, those license stuff is pretty interesting to me. Just
yeah,
for Code World, the reason I brought this up is because I recently attended an art show, for example, which I've yet to talk to Matt about. And what the person was doing was
attended
traditionally
what?
an art show. I went out
Oh,
and
an art show. Okay.
I left this home.
Wow.
Amazing. I went to a photo store again,
Yeah.
also amazing, and looked at an actual gallery exhibit of
Wow.
photos, which was amazing. But the reason I'm saying this is because I'm using the word photos here with air quotes, and I need to apologize, but
Hmm.
we'll get to it in a second. So what he had started out with was taking photos of people and working with symmetry. So imagine if you took my photo, took this half of their face,
Mm.
did a lot of work, and
Hmm.
then had Photoshop mirror it basically.
Right.
After a while, let's say during COVID, it became a little bit difficult to hire models to take photos of.
Right.
So what they did was they went on Midjourney and generated thousands of people, characters.
Mm.
We'll
Hmm.
call them models, and maybe different poses and things like that of
Sure.
a character of a model, and then ended up making artwork using these models. So there's a lot
Hmm.
involved in the artwork as well, like a lot going on around it, that kind of stuff. The
Right.
face is front and center, obviously. The artwork is kind of more about the theme. But what they're doing is making prints of these and selling those prints. And the reason I brought, yeah, yeah, now you get it. And the reason why I like coming full circle on this is because we had an interesting conversation about the way Midjourney's license is now, not the way it
Hmm.
will be. Because I think right now, using it for like for sale is difficult. Like as this is a portion of a work. It's not the work as a whole. So it's not like
Hmm.
they took one Midjourney image and said, "Hey, I'm selling this now."
Hmm.
However, I think the spirit of that the policy or the spirit of the license would still remain in that like it's a significant component of the artwork,
Hmm.
in which I
Well,
think
I
Midjourney is
thought it
coming out with a
was.
new license that allows that.
I thought
Is that
Midjourney has always been, if you're not paying for it, you must attribute and you can't sell it. But if you're paying the $20 a month, then it's you are the owner of that and you can do anything you want.
yeah?
Is that now
Now,
changing?
no. Nice guy as I am, I did not ask if they were paying for it. I assumed they
Ah,
would
yeah,
volunteer this information. They
yeah,
did not, so we'll just assume that
yeah,
they're in Discord doing this
right.
stuff. But yeah, it's so that plan is out though, because I actually did not know that was
Mm.
out. Is it Pro that they were trying to
So I
launch?
mean, I pay $20 a month for Midjourney,
Okay,
and
okay,
then
gotcha.
most of my images for thumbnails for my YouTube videos have all been. There's been a few that I
Right.
use like Noiselith on my Mac,
Okay.
but really Midjourney is just so amazing that I continue to pay for that. Um, but
Uh,
there's another. I was wondering at
oh
first
yeah,
if you
so
were.
even the basic plan, even the $10 a month. Sorry, I was just reading through all these
Oh,
plans. So
okay,
even the basic $10 a month, I think as long as you're
yeah.
paying them the
As long as
10
you
bucks a
pay,
good
that's fine. Yeah,
10 bucks is pretty good actually.
but
I mean, I'm not gonna say it's cheap, but not bad.
you can't copyright the image.
Still okay, I think, right?
because it's um, it is a
It's like an
computer
amalgam.
generated. It's
Yeah.
that computer generated image, and the Copyright Office will not accept, and or the to create a
Oh, you're talking about the US now, so I don't think
US.
Canada's even hit we
Well,
haven't hit this
and
maturity
I
level
mean
yet.
that's yeah, yeah, and other countries have different rules, but the US Patent Office, so you can't do any sort of
Right,
patent type of work with AI generated anything, whether it's AI generated code, AI generated um, text, images. US Patent Office does not, and probably other patent offices around the world will probably do similar things. And
yeah, it
that's
seems
always
like
been
we
the
do have
case.
a policy.
It's not
Yeah, yeah.
that's not a that's been the case for 50 years, or anything that's generated by something else. If it's not generated by a human, then you can't patent that, and you can't. I don't know if like putting the copyright on it, does that make it that needs to be
Yeah, so
tested
you'd have
in
to copyright
laws
the process, I think is
in courts.
what they're saying, as
Yeah,
opposed to the output. Yeah, that
right,
I think that makes
right.
sense. Yeah.
Now,
So
I
if
was
it's
almost I was
Mhm.
wondering if you were going to talk about there are there are tools that you can get that you can, maybe supply a bunch of images and
Mhm.
have additional images based on that in
Right,
doing something else.
right,
Okay. And then there are also for if you've got a image, maybe a few different images of a human being, you can there's something that lets you basically move like a stick figure around so that the stick figure is what's standing and now the stick figure is sitting down, and it
right,
takes those as the bones of your image and sits that person down in a realistic way, or maybe in other positions that
right,
maybe
right.
less uh
Sitting on
less
the back of the chair,
something you
let's
want
say.
to
Sitting
something
on the
you
chair
might want not
backwards.
want to share in a different position, maybe on
Could
the
be different.
ground, on your
Could be different.
kneeling some way. So you can
Very interesting.
do interesting things, and there yeah, so and, maybe with certain actors or actresses that you really like, so there
Yeah,
are
yeah,
those
yeah.
types of
I see where this can get pretty bad pretty
yeah,
quick.
yeah. Um, so there's that stuff kind of stuff going on as well.
Mhm.
And as these tools get to be better and better at doing video, if you're supplying these positions, now you're recreating a whole other
Gotcha.
industry,
Gotcha.
which is interesting.
Well, I mean, be that as it may, I
Yeah.
think when we look at technical advancement in the past of our industry,
Hmm.
it has been that certain outlying groups and things like that will push things forward.
Yeah.
And I think at the very let's just talk about like 3D movies at the very least.
Right.
At the very least, I feel like that entertainment that's more than games is
Right.
kind of what I'm waiting for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess when we're talking about this generative AI stuff, so the advancement that I was talking about in these point maps for 3D, so let's assume we're walking
Mm.
around Bainbridge Island. My understanding is it's that tweening that is really the development. So let's say that you've got a bunch of photos from this spot and a bunch of photos
Hmm.
from the next spot, and they could only be, distant by a foot, but those angles have
Right.
all changed. The in between frames are what they're using Gen AI to do.
Yeah.
But again, I do wonder about like the legality of it and
Yeah.
like the experience. And this is a point between points. You're really not experiencing those points. You'll land there when you do and you look around kind of thing. But I
Right.
wonder what that looks like because that's where we're at now is we're filling in the blanks a lot. Like
Yep.
just talking about codes, devs don't like writing test case. I hate them too. And at the
Yeah.
very least, I think most people can agree Gen AI is pretty good at writing
Yeah.
test cases for your code, which
Right.
surprising to everybody because they're like, it's going to write my new app for me. I was like, yeah, it might write a test harness for you, which will allow you to write the
Right.
app faster. Still super handy. Like that could be 10%, 20% of the
Right.
job, maybe more depending on the industry that you're in. And I feel like this is the same applied to photogrammetry. I've
Hmm.
seen things taking what's Google's term for it? Multimodal, like when you take a
Mm.
2D thing and make it into 3D or 2D to
Sure.
video, like you were talking about,
Hmm.
or give a photo and Gen AI might imagine the sound that belongs with the photo or a
Hmm.
soundtrack for a video, that kind of stuff. I feel like that, like those missing elements are interesting to me. Again, maybe around the like I don't know if you're just thinking about like mind brainstorming, mind
Right,
mapping, that kind of stuff, coming up with ideas. But it does seem to be a thing. Like it's here,
right.
it's happening. You're talking about using Mind Journey for thumbnails. I think that's pretty common. From
Yeah,
what I've seen, Mind Journey images have a certain look to them.
Midjourney.
And when I'm scrolling through Siri, Mind Journey, Mid Journey, when I'm scrolling through YouTube, you can kind of recognize it. Or like on the cover of blog posts, you'll notice a lot of those sort of like cover art, hero images,
Right.
banner images now seem to be Mid Journey. So it's certainly becoming a thing. I just, yeah,
Do you I
watching it closely.
hearing you say the word Mind Journey, it reminded me
Sorry.
of a series of videotapes I remember getting,
Yep.
Beyond the Mind's Eye.
No, this sounds like some hippie stuff.
It was I mean, it was computer generated stuff with, like, kind of, like, woo-y, kind of music in the background, kind of
Interesting.
electronica slash and it was pretty cool. It was definitely, I think I might have gotten a few tapes from Blockbuster on, that were Beyond the Mind's Eye.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I still miss Blockbuster. Even if
Yeah.
it's a store that I walk into that has a bunch of, like, VHS boxes with, like, QR codes or NFCs or something,
Yeah.
like, that physical experience to me, like,
Yeah.
I would never have found this movie, for example,
Right.
on the internet. I'm not going looking for
Yeah.
psychedelic, trippy movies, like, that's
Yeah.
not what I'm into. But if I
Yeah.
saw it in the store, I might be like, like, I'll grab the one I came for as well as that, and I guess you miss that spirit of exploration,
Yeah.
or your friend beside you nudging you saying, "I watched this last week, you gotta watch it," kind of
Right.
thing. That just doesn't happen
It's the
anymore.
kind of, the music that would be played is the stuff that one of the bands I used to really love listening I spent way too much listening to is, Spangle.
Spangle, I don't know, okay.
Oh, it's some interesting, weird, interesting
This music to take LSD to. The
I
cover
think
art of the
so.
albums are amazing.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
it's
no, they
Psybian,
were
Psytrance, Psydub, okay,
yeah, yeah.
that makes sense. The Psy, I think
I'll have
here.
to pull that up again, after this is over.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
definitely listen to it, like,
yeah.
I like different music, I
I
think
have
is generally what I like.
I think I graduated from Spangle to more, uh, civilized music, like, Taiko.
Like,
Do you know Taiko?
yeah, I do actually, or
Okay.
Porcupine Tree, I feel like it'd be like an extension of
Hmm,
this, or Run
okay.
DMT and Drug Dealer. Do you know these
Hmm.
2 bands? They both sound humorous, but they're
Yeah.
quite good actually. Yeah, I do like a lot of, is it called neo psychedelica?
Mm,
Neo psychedelia, which is like psychedelic rock from the '70s rebirthed or revived
mm,
in the 2020s. So there's
right.
like King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Have you heard this
Mm.
band?
Oh, yeah,
Like,
no.
releases like 5 albums a year.
Right.
Just amazing.
Well, that first,
Fish, maybe as I get older, Fish is
oh,
sounding better to me too, surprisingly.
which fish?
With a PH, they did
Oh,
like
yeah, I
a
hate that one.
3 I
I hate that
see,
one.
I used to also not be a fan, but they did a 3-day live concert in Madison
Oh, yeah.
Square Garden over 2023, and I thought it was pretty good. Like,
Now the
surprisingly
fish that's
alright.
spelled Fish, who used to be a lead singer of a group called Marillion, a Scottish group,
Yep.
that I was really into.
I have not heard.
Yes.
Oh, this this yeah, this band is awesome. The Other
Yeah,
Fish.
yeah. They
Definitely
were
my kind of
huge
band.
for a while in Scotland.
For sure. Now, and that 'cause I'm like a dog with a bone here. One of the other things that I think about VR, XR experiences is like, okay, so you get the Fish band, really
Uh-huh.
popular, Madison Square Garden, sold out completely. I wanna be there. I wanna be backstage.
Yeah.
I want somebody with I don't know how many cameras they get strapped to their head,
Oh,
walking
when
around
did this
backstage.
happen?
So it just happened, like, I don't know, 10 days ago, it just happened. It was, like, really good. I listened to one day so far, surprisingly good. I'm not even into jam
I
bands, and I thought it was good.
I think I know somebody who was there.
I think it was 3 nights, 3 or 4
Yeah,
nights, like, one day after another, leading up
yeah,
to, New Year, and
yeah.
surprisingly good. Like, I'm not
Wow.
into this kind of music, but I gave it a listen,
Yeah.
and it's surprising. But, okay, so the big band who sold out, Taylor Swift maybe is more interesting. I wanna go see Taylor Swift backstage. I'm gonna
Mhm.
pay $300 to,
Yeah.
I don't know, kickstart whatever gear they gotta buy so
Right.
they can go take the video so I can watch it. That's what I wanna see, but by the same token, I do wonder about the Fish with the F in
Mhm.
Scotland that nobody has seen, and I'd
Right.
love to be at, like, that kind of conference in a pub as
Yeah.
well, like, the low class, high class kinda thing, because I
Right.
do
Yeah.
feel like that almost telepresence VR thing could
Mhm.
maybe capture a live experience way
Right.
better than those DVDs because they just don't work for
Yeah.
me. The
Yeah.
huge sprawling shots of the crowd with all
Yep.
their phones out and stuff like that does nothing. Does
Yeah.
not recreate the concert experience for me at all. It makes me
Right.
just not wanna go to a conference sorry, not
And
conference, concert ever again.
I think there've been, I mean, that's been definitely the topic of movies, where, you're
Right,
putting on these goggles and then creating this brand new experience, whether it's,
right.
like, um, what was that
Encino Man?
series on on Amazon, Prime, The Peripheral?
Well, okay,
Peripheral?
so yes, this is exactly where
That
I'm
was
going, is the
yeah,
Peripheral, because 'cause I'm a huge William Gibson fan.
that
I
was
was thinking,
amazing.
like, Upload or something like that, but the Peripheral is
Yeah,
exactly
or
what I'm
Ready
thinking of.
Player One.
Exactly. Ready Player
Yeah,
One was kinda what I was leading up to. Like, that
yeah,
experience, I feel like, is where we're at now. So whereas my
yeah,
multi-video game tournament with,
yeah,
like, 80s throwback movies and stuff like that, I think we can do that now. What I
yeah,
want is, like, that telepresence kinda thing,
yeah,
which is what
yeah.
Gibson's describing in The Peripheral.
Give
Because The
me
Peripheral is a peripheral for telepresence in
right,
an alternate universe. Hate to spoil the book, but, like,
right.
amazing.
Yeah, I mean, to give that, backstage experience to the person who cannot be there because it's a faraway place and it's
It could be
super
an
expensive,
accessibility
and
issue.
there's
Yeah.
only 10 people that are allowed backstage,
Yes.
or
Now you got the
1,000 people,
exclusivity. Yeah,
and
yeah.
now you got that, and now you can expand it out to 100,000 who can be backstage. Um, yeah, it's pretty amazing.
I'd be super interested, especially because,
Yeah,
like, on those videos, there's no the camera angle, I guess, is up to you, which is
yeah,
maybe something I really like, is being in control of, like, where the camera is pointed
right,
because your
right.
head basically does that. The 3D,
Yeah,
there's really no direction aside from I think they call it blocking, but, like, where the camera is in the
mhm,
scene. But the
yep,
angle of the camera, which I love, the fact that you can look around while things are
right,
happening is phenomenal to me. I
yeah,
can't wait. Like, I'm
yeah,
seriously interested in this. It's like
yeah,
the shows I like to go to, I wanna be front row, backstage, like the rock star
yep,
experience. I wanna, like, know the band. And if it's not
yeah,
that, then I just don't wanna go because I don't wanna be seated way back in, like, row L on the
mhm,
side. But I think we're there. The Periphery, I don't think will ever happen unless the multiverse is true. That would be amazing. But that book does
yeah,
describe a way for me to, like, move, a robot or an automaton in
mhm,
a remote location and have them
right,
be my eyes and ears, which
right,
with 0 latency, which I think is the
yeah,
premise of the book.
that's pretty cool.
I love that book, and
Yeah.
next up for me is Three Body Problem, which I still have yet to
Oh,
read, and
yeah.
I'm still waiting for the series because 'cause I'm that person. I'm gonna watch the movie first. The
It's
book's
hard.
heavy. Everyone I talk to, the book is,
It's
like, super heavy.
I feel like I should read it again because there were
Right.
enough scenes in, the long, Three Body Problem, series. It's on, the Chinese one,
Mhm.
which I think I've watched 12 episodes of, and I'm, a quarter of the way through.
Oh,
Um
wow.
it's 30 or 40 episodes. It's huge. And there's enough parts of that. Well, apparently it's supposed to be very, I think it's accurate to the book, but there's enough parts of that story that I don't remember because it's so hard that you basically are like, "Ugh, I'm gonna just skip a whole bunch of pages and like see if it gets good again." And there were some really
The
great parts of it,
suspense.
but it's just grueling. It's a book that is hard work. Um,
That
and,
doesn't sound
at
like
least
fun.
for
Like, the
me,
last book I
yeah,
tried like that is, Tolstoy, I think, which I still haven't read a
yeah,
Tolstoy book.
yeah.
It it's just massive.
No, they're massive, yeah.
As someone I'm just assuming that you have as someone who studied Russian literature, but am
Yeah,
I
oh,
wrong?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Are they comparative
A
in
few.
difficulty? Because those books are, like, inscrutable. They're quite thick with detail.
I would say it's a more modern thing, but and it's probably harder. I mean,
Oh, okay.
it was hard, but it was good.
Like,
It was
Gibson,
int I
the
mean, there was some
Periphery, yeah,
yeah, there were some amazing story ideas in that book that I would love to revisit.
that's really cool. I
Yeah.
think William Gibson gets that accusation a lot for having like thick prose, but it's more that he uses
Mm,
a lot of words that you wouldn't find common, like
right.
aramid, for example, like
Right.
names of things that are almost trademarked a lot of the time, or Gore-Tex or stuff like that. If you don't
Yeah.
know these terms, you have to go looking them up. But in terms of the
Right.
actual sentence structure, it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
What annoyed me about Tolstoy is like there's a ton of detail, there's a ton of
A
characters
ton
you
of
may
characters.
or may
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
see again, and the sentence structure is like crafty just
Yeah.
for having fun because it's translated and
Yeah.
trying to be
Yeah.
amazing. But yeah, it's a lot to take in at once,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
So there's one more new announcement I want to ask you about. And I didn't prep you for this beforehand, so I
Okay.
apologize. But there's a new lens for your new camera that has me interested.
Oh,
It's
the
the
100.
100 millimeter, yeah, you got it, f2.8 1-to-1 macro with two linear motors, which is I think the big difference for like a
Mm.
macro lens focusing
Oh, I didn't know
fast
that.
makes it quite a bit different than like a normal macro
Yeah.
lens where you wait and you zoom in, zoom
Right.
out, and try to like get the bee or the flower or whatever it is you're taking a photo of your
Right.
daughter per se. It becomes
Yeah.
a real big problem when it's focusing in and out and it's going that whole
Yeah.
range. But the Sony that I've got is amazing. Completely changed macro photography for me forever.
Mm.
And it
Yeah.
looks like this Panasonic lens is the same. So it's full frame, L mount. It'll work on the
Right.
other cameras as well. But Sigma does not have a lens that does this. In fact, Sigma's
Mm.
macro is awful. So it's
Yeah.
really like quality wise perfect, but
Right.
focusing wise doesn't hold a candle to anything modern.
Yeah.
So I'm super interested in it, but it's kind of like a portrait lens, macro lens. It's a specific range, I guess, not for
Mhm.
everybody, but it does look amazing, and it
Yeah.
is a lens that I don't think a lot of the camera mounts have. So yeah, good
Mm.
timing. It looks like all the macro people are going to flock to Panasonic.
Yeah.
Do you ever take
Yeah, I
macro
don't know.
photos? No.
I there was a time I was taking more. I was definitely the, person that would as a as a teenager, carrying along my big Bogan tripod, on a strap with a camera bag and walking quite a ways to
Ugh.
find, like a little pine cone or something and
Yeah,
set up the
that's me.
tripod, have my like clear poncho going over the tripod to kind of diffuse the light, and then taking that photo with and being really precise. And then, you know, it, basically the same kind of thing, but 10 years later, doing it with a much bigger tripod and a 4x5 camera,
Nice.
and much bigger diffusion, and doing the same thing. Yeah. So that
That's really
that
cool. I
there was
didn't
a
know you shot
time I
4 by
was really
5.
into that. Oh yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Pain in the ass.
Now, I'm talking a little bit about flowers and bugs, but I
Yeah.
was trying to hold off on my comedic relief here. But one of the things that I really enjoyed with the macro lens, funnily enough, was taking photos of my keyboard builds. Have you ever taken photos of a
Oh
keyboard build?
no, no.
It's surprised like it's product photography.
Right.
It seems super lame, and I mean it kind of is. But like
Yeah.
in the moment, you're really excited about your keyboard. You want to
Hmm.
share with others that kind of stuff. Some clear
Hmm.
macro shots of like how they're built I
Mm.
found like were super popular on Reddit back in the day. But
Right.
I really liked it actually. It's just similar to this white dash, just a lamp on
Yeah.
top of it kind of thing.
Yeah.
As you're soldering, take a couple shots. I took some
Okay.
like a switch assembly shots of
Uh-huh.
my partner's fingers, just like how to open
Uh-huh.
up a switch and close it back up because it's fairly
Right.
complicated. But I found it really rewarding, and I'm not normally a
Wow.
product photographer, but I was surprised.
Okay.
Anyway, food for thought. You might just like it as you're building
Okay.
your next board, if you do ever decide that you need the keyboard to build.
I don't need another keyboard.
Yeah,
My current
you've hit
keyboard
your
is
end game.
my current keyboard is the perfect keyboard.
All right, folks, listen. 2:42, Jan 9, Tuesday,
Do you
2024.
need me to pull it
Matt
out?
says current keyboard is the perfect keyboard. I think we've
Hold on.
seen it
It's
before, right?
actually it's over on my other machine. Hold on. I'm gonna
Okay,
come back with it.
okay. All right, folks, be prepared for this amazing keyboard. The Bat's never going to buy a new keyboard again because he's so happy with this. For those of you listening, it is a small black keyboard
Plug
that he's
my
about to
bag
show
in.
us. It looks like a keyboard.
It is this one.
End game keyboard. Those got to be careful.
It's
Oh
it's
yes.
the Voyager.
Is this a ZSA?
Yes. Is that a ZSA? Yes.
Sorry, yeah,
That's
Canadian
the
in me. ZSA.
it is the yeah, the Voyager, and it's amazing. It feels so good. Um, it just feels great, and it's so packable.
I don't know.
Because
I
I mean,
feel like
it's
you'd like this much more if you sorted it yourself.
no, no.
It is really nice. I mean, I'm looking at it
It
again here.
I mean,
The illuminated
it
keycaps, I
feels
think, are
perfect.
yeah. Somebody else found
And
it too. Nice, yeah. It, so for those of you just tuning in, the ZSA Voyager is what we're talking about. It
yeah,
is quite nice.
because I did the so another Kickstarter I did was the
Mhm.
Moonlander. Moonlander?
Right.
No, it was the no the ErgoDox EZ. It was our first
Okay.
keyboard.
Oh, I
Um,
thought the Moonlander was okay.
no, no. So the ErgoDox EZ was their first one, and I did that in Kickstarter. And then their next Kickstarter I also did, which was the Plank, which I thought
Right.
was the perfect keyboard. It's more of a oh, that size.
Is
It
the
was
plank gone?
tiny.
They don't have
Plank's
it on
gone.
their site
They
anymore.
stopped making it.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that.
Um, and then came the Moonlander, which I also got.
Mhm.
Um, and and then they for the Moonlander they did the thing that allowed you to tilt and tent like but to an extreme, which I
Right.
did because I felt that that was the most comfortable with the Moonlander. So it was like another
Mhm.
$100 on a on top of a $400 keyboard.
Right.
Um, and I felt like I had to do that, and so I was very disappointed that they didn't offer that with the Voyager. But this tiny tilt that they have on the Voyager is perfect.
I'm gonna make so much money off you, Matt, making a virtual like Colmac or Workman layout in Vision Pro so you can type the way you're used to in VR.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna make at
Well,
least
you don't I don't
$2.
think you need it.
I don't think so.
It's like
You can split the keyboard already in iPad and you can change the
right.
layout. I don't think you can pick the alternative layouts yet,
No.
but you can pick
No,
like
all the
so I can pick
layouts are
Japanese layout.
only
Mm.
yeah, there are only layouts that are enjoyed by more than, 10 people. Um,
Which is not
I mean,
Colmac.
like, Dvorak and I think Colmac is probably on the iPad, I would assume. But
More than 10?
Workman
Okay.
Dead, which is my layout,
That's it.
is
Dead.
not.
Sorry, I forgot the dead. Yeah.
Workman Dead.
Workman dead. Yes.
Comac is used by, thousands of people, so that is supported. Workman Dead is not.
Okay. Ones of people's.
Yeah, there are multiples of this hand.
One multiple of this head.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I think at this point in time, like what you were talking about, I guess, is what kind of kicked it off to me is like we're starting to make human interface devices that are a little bit more uh, changeable, customizable to your hand. Not up
Mhm,
front, but after the fact. So when you're talking about tenting and that thing,
right.
what was interesting to me is just how many people like the plank though, because it's the opposite. You get a little candy bar keyboard and you can
Mhm,
change the layouts and stuff like that. But that it's not.
yep,
This is it. This is the board. You can add a numpad,
yeah,
but this it will never change. It just looks like this. And
right.
that keyboard, that monolith keyboard design, has been around for a long time. And I love that we've
Sure,
got a
yeah.
perfect segue into my next topic, the Microsoft Copilot AI key that they're planning on adding to the standard Windows keyboard. Have you heard about this, Matt? All right, so
No.
Microsoft, I love that I can break this news to you today. So Microsoft has declared that in 30 years, the only keyboard development that has happened is the Windows key, and they're proud to announce the next evolution in keyboards, the Copilot AI key. I can't even make this up. I think it's the right control is what they want to change to the Copilot key. And I use the right control quite a bit with the arrow keys, so I don't know what's going to go on Mac. There's no right control. I don't know if you're looking at your keyboard. There's none there. Doesn't
There is
exist.
not.
Yeah,
No, I'm
there's no
looking
right
at
control on Mac.
on this one. It's, there is a left control key and there is no right control key. I don't find
And
I miss it,
yeah, also,
but
what's interesting to me, like just a little bit of a trivia I will say is on the Mac, the command key is in fact on the right side, and there's rarely a Windows key on the right side. But on Windows, being able to hit Windows left and right is actually super handy, and you can
Mm,
do it one-handed,
right.
which is awesome. Anyway, I think
Mm.
this is yeah, exactly. So Brian, I love this. Everything's just rolling right into place. This is exactly what I was thinking, Brian. So like, how quickly will Matt Williams take to set up a keyboard maestro script? They'll grab this key and start Olama instead.
That's awesome.
I
I
did
would
think about
say
it,
that that's probably. I mean, I wouldn't want to give up one key for it.
right? Like even on the Steam Deck or Stream Deck, sorry. Like, would I give up the
Oh,
key
I've
just to
definitely seen
start
people that have done that already. Map a
on the
button on the
Stream Deck?
Stream Deck to Olama.
Auto
Auto hotkey
hotkeys, yeah,
on Windows, yeah.
yeah. So
Um,
like, bring up a web page, put the cursor in the field so you can start typing in auto hotkey. I've done a
yeah.
lot of
I mean,
garbage
I've
auto
seen
hotkeyed.
somebody's done. Uh, oh, did I make that? Did I show that? I guess I did.
Whatever has to replace Cortana, listen, I'm all here for it. Love Microsoft to death. They've made a lot of mistakes, but Cortana drives me up the wall on Windows 10 and 11. It's really I don't
Um,
know. Do you ever
I didn't
use
realize they
Cortana?
made
Like, it
that
just
show
gets
up on
annoying.
there.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, no, you did a good job. You did a good
oh,
job. It was a good
I
point.
was thinking, why can I not see it? And I click on show because I wanted to see it here. I didn't even look over to see that I had shown
Oh,
it on,
gotcha,
but it was
gotcha.
good.
But an Alama hotkey would be pretty handy, right? Like, bring up my previous contacts and allow me to continue chatting, basically, is what I would use it for.
Yeah, I mean, so there's somebody's done a plugin for what's that? Raycast to do Olama. But
Breakouts.
Raycast is another like Alfred. Um
Yeah,
it
yeah.
wants to be as cool as Alfred, but it's
Yep.
maybe a little bit
Not there
cool.
yet.
It's fancier but less functional for now than they're about the same.
Looks
Um
cool. It's got at
um
least 100 levels of transparency. That's what makes it looks cool.
yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I feel like is it possible in order to take advantage of these things, you have to be at your keyboard anyway. So having one key for launching it, I don't see how that's useful.
I think you all are conspiring just to like move me down my talk thread. So you got it. I feel like a key on the keyboard is wasted space. And like, what if I didn't even have to
Yeah.
touch the keyboard? Because I've currently got something called SGPT, which allows me to talk to you. I won't name the name.
Mm,
Starts with S, ends in Erie, but I can actually
mm,
say a keyword and ask ChatGPT things with my voice and have it
mm,
respond to me, which
right.
was
Oh, that's good.
amazing. Because I don't want to be. Why do I need to use my hands? You've got all this
Right.
figured out already. Let the
Right.
chatbot be an actual
Right.
chatbot. This is awful. That's what I want personally,
Yeah.
and I agree that it feels like you're wasting. When sorry, this comment got me. Yeah, we're super popular. We have 3 whole guests this year. New year, new look. But I do feel like the chat
I saw
interface
that
to me
number
is
go up to
something very
7.
interesting.
The number of people
Holy
that
moly!
were like currently watching were it went all the way up to 7.
It's because my
I
partner
didn't
knew
know
I
that
was talking about her, so she logged on multiple times.
I didn't know that count went that high. I thought it stayed at 2.
Yeah, it never goes higher.
Wow.
Thanks a lot, folks, for tuning in. But I do feel like adding a key to the keyboard for this is kind of maybe it's too soon. It just doesn't. There's not enough.
I mean, there are
Whisper.
yeah.
That's not a bad idea.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's Super Whisper, there's a bunch of other commands or at least on the Mac that have done whisper
Mhm.
like things and and then also on other platforms. And one of them, I mean, the I think Super Whisper is neat because it will essentially do the what Whisper does, which is the speech to text
Right.
really accurately. And then when you're
Because Siri's not
done,
that great. I apologize. Having used it all the
yeah.
time on the iPad, it's not great. Kubernetes every time.
Yeah. When it's done, it automatically pastes it to whatever is the currently displayed app, except
Right.
it uses the whatever is on the key Command V to do that. And if you've got your
Mhm.
keyboard remapped, it doesn't do it the right way, and so it doesn't do it for me. So I have to switch over to
So
QWERTY
in
if
like
I want to use this
USB
other thing.
codes. It's got to be USB codes.
It's
That's the only thing that we do that.
there's two
Like key
ways
codes.
to map keys on the Mac,
Yes.
and there's the right way and the wrong way, and this guy's chosen the
Yes.
wrong way, which is frustrating. And I've mentioned it to him many times. Like, can you change this?
Yeah.
I'll start paying for it.
People are very weird about their
Yeah.
when it comes to like keyboard scan codes and which standard they
Mhm.
pick. Because I
Yeah.
agree, there is in fact a right way. Please don't do it at
Right.
the hardware level,
Yeah.
which is the wrong way.
Yeah.
Awful. So listen, I didn't pick up too much this week. So in terms of checkouts, I did want to recommend something I've been watching that I'm not sure is going to be for everybody. There's a bit of a trigger warning. Have I mentioned Fargo yet? The new season? New season of
There's a
Fargo
TV
is out.
series?
It is a TV series, and it's
Hmm.
really good, and it's not directed by the Coen brothers, so I can't say, like, if you're a
Hmm.
Coen brothers fan, go watch it. But it's interesting to see what somebody would take a Coen brothers story and make it into their own, and in fact, it went into
Hmm.
a lot of places that the Coen brothers probably wouldn't go, like,
Hmm.
basically domestic violence, like, pretty far down that
Hmm.
path, so that's what the trigger warning's for, fair
Okay.
warning. Handled super well,
Mhm.
and it's a HBO series. It might be on Hulu
Right.
now, but it's like really good series. The cinematography is just top notch. Like we're talking
Right.
about Minnesota, right?
Wow.
This isn't the most beautiful countryside,
Yeah.
but it is phenomenal. Can't recommend the new Fargo enough. The season's
Wow.
really good. Total departure from the other season. Has John Hamm playing a villain in it, and I think
Hmm.
he's really good as a despicable kind of small
Yeah.
town politician.
Yeah.
Would highly recommend.
Wow. See anything else?
That is that is my recommendation. Other than that, I've been
That's it?
playing with the Raspberry Pi 5 8
Oh,
gig
yeah, you just got that,
and
huh?
loving it. And loving it. Yeah. I think it needs more memory for like for
Yeah.
playing around with Docker. Unfortunately, the containers I'm using these days are 500 megabytes to about a
Mhm.
gig. Oversized basically images,
Right.
way more than they need to be. But yeah, having a gig man so I can put more on one device or be
Right.
able to handle more. I'm trying to get 12 of them. It's gonna take a long time. I've got 12 Pi 3Bs in a cluster, and I'd like to right
Mm.
beside it have a sorry, Pi
Okay.
4Bs in a cluster, and I'd like to have Pi
Right.
5s on the other side.
Right.
Just to have two
Cool.
different node groups for Kubernetes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like yourself?
Well, the only things I've been watching recently, I'm, on my way through Reacher. Did you
Okay.
ever watch any of Reacher?
I I haven't, but the new season seems to have quite a few viewers. Yeah.
It's fantastic. I I mean, the first season was incredible, and this season is I mean,
And
it's
this
I
is
think it's the only
Jack
show that
Reacher,
I'm
right?
like,
The spy.
as soon as yeah, yeah, as soon
Okay,
as the show co as soon as the episodes comes out, I'm watching
you're
it.
on it.
And I think every other show I'm watching now is I'm watching, it's been out for a few weeks or months or whatever.
Right.
Like, I'm slowly going through Monarch, which is pretty
Right.
good on Apple TV. But one that I kind of binged just because it was on Amazon Prime, and it was coming off like January 1st, and I like
Oh,
watched
right.
the whole season because
Mhm.
it was leaving. And I had low expectations
Yeah.
because I thought there's no way it can be any good. Um, and it turned out to be great. Well, pretty good, really good. I wouldn't say great. Was Halo.
Oh, yeah, apparently this is pretty popular among a subset of the Halo fanboys. Yes,
Yeah.
they really like it. I think the issue is that it may or may not be canon, is what people are arguing about. It's not the acting, or it's whether or not it follows the storyline with accuracy.
Well, I mean, the first one, so the first game starts off and you're landing on the Halo,
Right.
and this the season one of the show is everything up until they find the Halo, or I think they might have just found it, and so it
Oh,
it
that's
totally
cool.
fits with the story because
So you're filling in
it,
blanks that
it
you haven't.
you're
Yeah.
filling in all the blanks. What happened? In case you care about this story,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
what happened before? How did Master Chief get to be in the position he's in? And it kind of
Right.
creates that backstory. And so I think it
Oh,
does
that's
this
cool.
amazing job. And they at first, like in the preview, one of the best things about Halo the game, I haven't really played it recently, but I definitely played a lot of the first and maybe second one, was the music. that chant, that like choir. It was just spectacular, and but there was that dispute going on at the time of the release of the series, where the original composers of the music weren't being
Right.
recognized by Microsoft or
Yeah.
by Bungie, and then Bungie got
Right.
bought by Sony, and so there was all this weird, and no one was appreciating these composers, and then and that happened right at the same time as the show's being released, and so in the preview and the title sequence, there's none of that music, um, and you'd also hear none of that throughout any of the episodes until like one of the like episode 6 or so or 7, you start hearing it a little bit in the background. It's like, oh, maybe they worked it out. Um,
Interesting.
and it was really interesting. I would like to see more of that music. In I don't know if I will subscribe to Paramount Plus or whatever. I need to get to
Right.
see it, but
Mhm.
uh, it was it was it was really good. I really enjoyed it. And so it was a good sci-fi thing.
Totally agree. I think we're getting some comments from previously. I'm not sure how it works with live on YouTube, but I assume somebody's a
Oh,
little bit behind here. Terra Destroyer,
oh,
and yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about. Remapping that key to an Alama
oh
key.
yeah,
Hopefully they catch up. So I
yeah.
did do a quick Google, and it does look like the
Oh,
Halo TV
but well,
show
maybe
is not canon at all.
they're
So
just watching 10 minutes behind. They yeah. Maybe
that's
you
what I
don't have
think.
to
Yeah,
watch live. Yeah. Oh, interesting.
yeah. I think you can pause and like continue and stuff like that. So the
Ah,
consensus is
yes.
that the Halo TV show is not canon, but you're allowed to enjoy it if you like.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, and I think in terms of canon, so Code Word mentioned the books, Code World. My apologies. And my understanding is the books are in fact canon, and I'm not a
Mm,
fan of Halo at all. For some reason, I found the shooting floating and stuff like that,
mm,
but I did find the story pretty compelling. So I had actually been
right.
interested in watching this, having not
Well,
played the game at all. So I'm a PN.
I was into it for a while. So Halo came out when I was working at Microsoft,
Right.
and I think I might have mentioned where our team, the state and local was it state and local government or education? I think I might have been no, I was in state and local government at the time. So
Mhm.
selling to city and state governments, um, and uh, and I was based in Washington, so I was city of Seattle and down
Right.
to Oregon and Idaho and Alaska. But our team, SLG, got President's Club, I think it was called. And so
Nice.
basically they put all the sales and marketing people for that org on a plane and shipped us off to the Bahamas for
Nice.
like 4 or 5 days,
Oh,
as
I've
well as
never made President's
spouses.
Club. I always hear these stories and they're amazing.
A As well as spouses. I had no
Oof.
spouse at the time, so it was just me, and so, me and 4 of my colleagues, we all packed our Xboxes, our 1st gen Xboxes,
Yeah, the massive
into our
Xboxes.
bags, um, and Halo, and we made sure our rooms were near each other, and we played n we're in the
That's really
Bahamas,
cool.
in paradise,
Playing
a resort called, I think it was called Paradise, or what was it? No, Atlantis. Atlantis. So it's got
nerds.
like that water slide through the
Of course.
Shark Tank, and there we are in our hotel rooms, gorgeous outside, playing Halo in a hotel room.
Of course. It's
Yeah.
just it's perfect.
So
So
and so
no.
and of course I'm going through custom or going through security, and people are like pulling out this Xbox, like, "What's this? What are you doing? Come on, you're going to the Bahamas."
I took a PlayStation 5 to SF this year because I
Mm,
am also a nerd, and I thought they were going to harass me going through customs and stuff like that, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, we see these all the time because the PS5 is
yeah,
massive, it takes up half the
yeah,
case."
yeah,
I'm like, "Yeah, whatever."
yeah,
Just apparently a lot of
yeah, no
people do
problem.
it? Okay, alright.
I don't
I guess
yeah,
times are different now. Video gaming seems to become more of like a mainstream kind of thing, whereas back in the
yeah,
day, no
yeah,
no one's traveling with
no
their
way.
Xbox, it's
Yeah,
huge.
yeah. Yeah, that was, it was interesting taking that.
Yeah.
But,
Well, listen,
yeah, it
we had a
was
lot of comments today, a lot of
we
participation.
do!
Thank you very much,
Oh my
folks.
god,
This was
thank you.
amazing. Whatever we did this time, maybe we need to do it next week. possibly stream at the correct time, maybe. Blame me for that.
I think being, I mean, we're 2 minutes late, but being pretty close to on time.
Right,
I think I actually announced that we were going to do it like more than 10 minutes or more than 3 minutes before.
someone with a following actually announced it.
And
Yes.
and I'm streaming on YouTube and Twitter, although all of our commenters are only on. Oh, I wonder if the
notice that.
comments come through on Twitter.
They might, but they'll have a different icon.
Yeah,
I've
but I don't
noticed.
see any here.
Oh, were there comments on Twitter?
I don't know. I haven't looked. I didn't think about that.
Probably not. I think most people will just click the link and go to YouTube or something like that. But I think on
Okay.
Twitter it does broadcast live in a little box
Yeah.
like the MLB shows and stuff,
I
right?
don't know. I saw another button, so I clicked it.
I don't know, people still use Twitter or X. Sorry, on X, people still use X, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still using it.
I
I don't
think
know. Is it
a
bad
lot
to
of
use
people
it?
have
I don't
moved over
know.
to LinkedIn, which is also interesting to me. There's a lot of people
LinkedIn?
on LinkedIn now. It's bopping,
Hmm.
surprisingly. Yeah, I
Um,
don't know.
I wanted to like Mastodon, but I haven't logged into that in ages.
I didn't find a client I liked. I'm very
And
picky
the
about
same thing with
clients.
Threads.
Yeah, didn't like the client.
And
I feel like the
I feel like
icon is
there's other
awful.
Blue Sky. I think I've got an
Not a
account there,
fan.
and
Yeah,
so I mean, Twitter is really the only thing that
for now. For now.
maybe
All
somebody
right,
needs to come
folks.
up with a better one.
Oh,
So
listen.
we add one more.
Yes, add another
Yeah.
standard.
Yeah.
All right, shall we call it? Try to find the button.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I'm kind of tempted to just keep going until I see that number go. I mean, it's at 7 now. What happens if we?
Number keeps going up.
6.
Oh, we told
Oh,
them we were leaving. We
yeah.
lost them. Shoot,
Okay.
that's my fault. Sorry, I shouldn't have said
Yeah.
anything. Next time we
shouldn't have said
have a
anything.
following. I do have a backlog
Yeah.
of topics, so next time we have a massive following.
We
can
do.
get right
We
into
do. Okay. Well,
Open ZFS. It's going to be amazing. I have so many interesting topics, Matt. You have no idea.
yeah. Well, I also wonder. I put out a video on my channel just a few days yesterday, and which seems pretty well received. So maybe people are like finding that. I
then
actually
finding
did
this one,
like 2 videos in the last 4 days, 5 days. I'm gonna try to
Whew,
hit more of a cadence now going forward.
that's good. Yeah, yeah. And for the viewers of the stream, I'm the irregular person, so I will try to help Matt with the cadence.
Well, I mean,
Showing up on a regular basis.
I think we both have had our reasons to have to skip the last few months.
Yeah,
So.
my only advice is don't get a puppy. Which was Matt's advice.
Yeah. Well, at least you haven't gotten a kitty cat yet.
Not yet. Knock on wood.
I haven't either, but you know,
There you go.
okay. This is the boring banter.
Yeah, the 3 soft closes. All right, folks. Thank you so much for
okay. Thanks so
going
much.
up and asking
All right.
questions.
Bye.
Bye.